Hold on, Chubb. Hold on, Chubb. I'm getting a lot of people saying they don't get no sound or they're not getting sound. So bear with me. I'm trying to find out. I can hear you. It- Priscilla, can you give me a test? Because I can hear a test now, but they can't hear Priscilla or Chubb. All right, so they're saying they can hear me, but they can't hear them. Give me 1 second, guys. I do apologize. Bear with me. It's a new system. Bear with us. Hold on, Chuck. I mean, Priscilla, give me 1 second. I'm trying to mess with this audio over here. All right, give me a test, Priscilla. They can hear me, but they can't hear you guys. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to find out what's going on. I have your audio set in. Oh, there's Priscilla's audio. Shub, you should have audio. Priscilla, talk now, Priscilla. Okay, just give me. But they can hear you, so I'm trying to find out why they can't hear them. Okay, so I have audio for Priscilla. I have audio for Chubb. Chubb, keep talking, Chubb. Yeah, here, Chubb. Priscilla, can you talk? Let's find out what we got going. Right, and I'm trying to find out what. Oh, that's why. Okay, that Chubb. Now you should talk, and you should be. People should be able to hear you, Chubb. Nope, nope. I have Chubb's audio turned all the way up. I have Priscilla's audio turned all the way up, and but I don't see your volume levels. Hey, Robert. Hey, stand by, Chubb. Hold on. Hey, I got their audios turned on, and all right, Robert, you're not hearing, but you can't hear them. I'm mute, and I'm muted right now, so you should not be able to hear me. Okay, what about now? Can you hear them talking? It should be like an 8 second delay on Facebook. I just changed the output of the sound. So I have the system set to system on the output, or do I need to have it set to?
Me,
Chubb, did you get my message
me.
earlier? Chubb. Chubb,
Hello?
did you get my message earlier?
Um, did you text me?
Yes, it was a voice message.
No, I don't have nothing from me.
Well, Renee said, "There you go." Got you. Renee, can you hear? Can y'all hear us now? Somebody just said, "There you go." Yes.
Yes.
Tammy is saying yes. Tammy said yes. Sean said, "There it is," so they can hear us. Okay. Renee said they can hear us. They can hear us now. They can hear us. We got it. Hey, Scylla. Hey, Renee. Hey, Sean. Hey, Tammy. Well, y'all can hear me. Y'all want me to bust that
All
rap?
right,
Oh, here
guys.
you go.
They
Did
said
y'all
they
hear
can
my
hear
rap?
everybody.
Okay. Look, here go the
All
rap.
right, Egypt.
Welcome
I'm
back.
gonna mute you, Egypt.
All right, I'm about to mute it now.
We
Mute
can
it
hear
now.
everything. Yes.
Okay. Y'all can hear. Want me to go ahead and start over, Top Boy, or just tell me when to go? Tell me
All
when
right.
to go.
There you go, Priscilla. You are live now. Yeah,
All
go
right.
ahead. However
Hey,
you want. They already know.
I
Just go
got
ahead. Just
this.
say we had
Yeah,
technical difficulties.
I know, right? Hey, everyone, we had technical difficulties, and we got this new system. But I'm glad y'all sit there and heard my little rap. Chubb, how did I do? You think I got a little rap career, or I could just be like, don't leave that alone for a minute, or to be like, nah, I'm cool. What you think, Chubb?
Uh, 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 yeah, yeah, it was cool.
It-
It was cool.
hey, hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all can have a little. No, I'm just playing. Back to the interview. Anyway, I just had to entertain my people. All right. So, what motivated you and encouraged you to create the songs like "Treat 'Em Right," "The Chubster," and "Just the Two of Us"?
No, it was different motivations for that. I mean, just the two of us had more of a Caribbean thing to it because that's where we are. Caribbean American out of Flatbush, Brooklyn. So it
Mm-hmm.
had those elements to it, and it was really just about me and Howie, my cousin, just getting together to try to make some records and stuff like that. So it was really a song about him and his music gifts, and then about him helping his younger cousin, which was me, to try to get everything rocking. And that's all that was. When we was, I mean, I don't know how old I was at that point. Even in this picture, it was like 17, 18 or something like that. And we went out there and just did what we had to do. That's what just the two of us was about. Chubster was just about, again, just paying homage to people that helped me out in the music game. UTFO, Doc Ice. When it says the Chubster, a man who came out about 1986 with the help of Dr. Ice in the mix, and that's what that record was, and a way to get people dancing. And Treat 'Em Right had a few different messages. It was, at the time there was the killing of Yusef Hawkins, a young man that went into a white area, a white neighborhood, I should say, and was killed by a group of white men, and then it was about bootlegging because I had an experience with the bootlegging situation, and I wrote about it,
Mm-hmm.
and we recreated it for the video, and just had different inspirations to it. When you look at just the two of us video there, we had the Greeks in the video because my dancer and close friend, um, he was in the fraternity. My cousins, um, Rob, rest in peace, who was a Kappa, and we had the cues in your Bad Chubs video, and then all the various fraternities and his sororities was like, Chubb, you forgot about us. So just the two of us was us, a tribute to that culture. And, it was a great video to do, man. It was an incredible video to do. And so all the songs had different motivations. And it was a great time back in them days. You were just motivated to do positive music and music to keep people dancing and moving and in a positive manner. So yeah, it was just a great time.
See, that's what I like. We seen it, we actually are showing the video right now, just the two of us, and you see the Kappas, the Omegas, and all that. And I like that. Even back then, you're showing I'm paying homage to the black fraternities. You don't get that now in a lot of music videos and everything about the Greeks and everything. But I think that's pretty dope that you really did that.
And not just that, we were, HBCUs and black culture and dance. And I mean, again, I think we were the first ones to ever do that. And then people, maybe started following our footsteps later. But, we just had, it was just a great time, man. We just didn't, a lot of rap records now have a lot of anger in it. And it could be because there's a lot of anger in the world, but for us, we were just, I don't know, just a lot of positivity when we were doing our thing. And that was mainly because of my crew, so Hot Dog and Dinky and Doc No, rest in peace. My brother Rob Swinger, and all of us, we just really wanted to go out there and have fun and keep everything kind of positive. And, we loved hip hop. So that was our thing. That was our lane. Everybody else had different lanes, and that was great. But that was our lane.
Yes, yes. Now, before we go, everyone, please share the video, share it so all your friends can come in and watch this interview. Go also do the watch party. Also, How Girls, do me a favor. Peachy Shields is having a problem getting in. She just sent me a message saying she needs to get in. Someone please go help her so she can watch this video. But also, back to you, Chubb. Here's the thing. One thing I noticed you went on my favorite platforms, Soul Train and Showtime at the Apollo. I know there's artists before you and artists behind, after you. But what did you take from being on Soul Train and appearing on Showtime at the Apollo during your career?
When we did Soul Train, and I'm honored to say, because not too many artists did Soul Train while Don Cornelius was still the host. People did Soul Train after us, of course, but not when Don Cornelius was the host. It's only a very small set of people that did Soul Train with Don Cornelius. And it was an honor because we were never supposed to do that show. It wasn't like it was something pre-booked. We had a show in California, and once they knew that we were in California, then all of a sudden people was like, no, you got to do Soul Train because the record was big in California, was tremendous in California. So we got a chance to do Soul Train. We got a chance to do Arsenio Hall, even though we did Arsenio Hall like, I don't know, maybe 4 times. But to me, Don Cornelius was an honor, because he was just very kind to us. And, we had a good time with him. He was a great, great man. And of course, a trailblazer when it came to showcasing black talent. There's no black person on the planet that don't know about Soul Train. It is what it is. And so, it's too bad that he passed away and couldn't see the jewels of his legacy, especially when they did the biopic series about him, which I thought was incredible. But yeah, Soul Train was incredible. We did it twice. So we had some extreme honors to be able to do Soul Train. And then Showtime at the Apollo, again, the do Showtime at the Apollo is just one of the biggest honors of anybody. Whether you're a musician or you're a comedian, that is one of the things, the staples that you can put with your career. And okay, yeah. So Showtime at the Apollo is one of the um, just extreme, and it's also scary too, right? Because your man Luther Vandross got booed at the Apollo, and he's like the best singer on the planet. So you start thinking, wait a second, can I even do Showtime at the Apollo? You know, if a person like Luther Vandross is getting booed, you know, with the best voice ever, and we were lucky that we did Showtime at the Apollo. I don't know, maybe 3 times, because I did it, you know, for myself twice, but then I did it with Tevin Campbell because we did a song together for Boys in the Hood soundtrack, and we did it for him. So it just incredible, and of course I did it during the time when Steve Harvey was hosting it, and so that was great because that was like the second coming of Showtime at the Apollo. You know, we weren't around when James Brown and those legends were doing it. So for the second coming of Showtime at the Apollo was definitely when Steve Harvey was hosting.
I remember being a kid just watching first Soul Train, especially on Saturdays, getting up, you got parents make you want to clean the house. You sitting there watching and trying to get the latest dance moves, sitting there, you want to dancing yourself. And then here comes Soul Train Saturday nights for us, especially for me. And you're just sitting there like, oh man, it's like you could see the favorite artist and then whoever is trying to get booed off the stage. And, it was just, I mean, you don't get shows like that anymore. But to see you guys, see all you artists and yourself included, just to do it, it was just like a dream come true. Now looking back on it, you're just like, man, wow, like where did it go? Wish we could still have shows like that, but they're no longer around here anymore like that.
Well, don't say never because I'm working on something now. I can't really
Mm-hmm.
kick it to everybody yet, but I'm working on something that will bring back that spirit of that show and Arsenio Hall actually mixed together. So, we're
Mm-hmm.
working on some stuff because Arsenio Hall and Showtime at the Apollo and Soul Train, just that was a straight FUBU moment, for us, by us.
Mm-hmm.
And now none of that exists, none of it. Even when I think about Yo MTV Raps,
Yeah.
um, so these outlets were incredible. That's what built artists, that's what made all of us, have a platform was because of those shows. And especially in the 90s, myself and Naughty by Nature and Cypress Hill and Salt and Pepper and all these incredible acts. Um, those are the things that gave us that platform, those particular shows. And now for the young people, that doesn't exist. When we were all coming up in DOS Effects and EPMD, we had the privilege of being able to be on these shows. And now new artists, I mean, they have Instagram and that's great, and they have Facebook and that's incredible because people like you would, having these platforms and these interviews. But as far as television stuff, they don't really have access to much television.
No, 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 we don't. Now, I know you said you did soundtracks for Boys in the Hood, but that wasn't the only soundtrack you did for the movies. Movies like Zebrahead, Girls Trip, Fat Beach, one of my favorite all time movies, Clockers. And not only that, Mary J. Blige, of course, who I love,
The
took
best
your
man.
song. Yeah, the best man, and took your song "Treat 'Em Right," sampled it for her song "Just Fine." What does that mean to you, having all those accomplishments, you being on soundtrack for movies, having someone like Mary J. Blige sample your song? And I mean, what is that accomplishment in life for you? What does that mean to you?
I mean, you you're grateful that your music, reached and affected people because again, we were young, we were in a basement, my aunt's basement, my mom's basement, working on music. You didn't really know whether or not people are gonna like this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of getting together to try to see what we can do. And when you see that your songs are in movies, like you said, Boys in the Hood and Talking Dirty After Dark with Martin Lawrence, and I mean, it's a lot of movies. I can't. I mean, we were even in Nightmare on Elm Street, and
Yeah, I
you know,
seen that.
we was in Nightmare on Elm Street. We were in Iron Man 1. It was a bunch of movies, but again, you just don't know. And then it was in a bunch of TV shows. Nurse Jackie. In fact, Nurse Jackie's last episode of the series, the show was no longer, was her walking through Washington Square Park in New York City playing Treat 'Em Right and kids dancing to it, and the song was in The Sopranos. And then it was, anytime there's a movie and it shows a club scene, 9 out of 10 times it's going to be one of 4 records. It's going to be Treat 'Em Right, Raw Bass, It Takes Two, Push It by Salt and Pepper or Dougie Fresh, and Slick Rick The Show. It's one of them 4 records, and it's just a blessing, man, because and then it stood the test of time. Those records are from the 90s, late 80s, and for young kids now still dancing to it in school, that's a blessing. Well, when we had school, before the pandemic.
Yes, those are all like half of them on DVD. Was there ever a time during your career when someone told you rapping is not a career? Did you ever have anyone tell you that?
No. When I first started, my family members, my mom and my dad, they were supportive, and no one ever said it. And then very quickly, hip hop artists showed that they could make more than a living doing, because it's the same as any genre, right? You're not going to say, "Oh, Patti LaBelle, I don't think you can make a living singing." You're not going to do that. But because it was a new thing, mainly young people were involved, so you didn't really, some of them, some of the other musicians and maybe even family members maybe have thought, well, what is this thing? Hip hop. I don't even know what this thing is. How could this be? People might have thought it was a fad, oh, this won't be around after next week or 2 weeks. But I think very quickly they started to realize this was not a fad, especially once you've seen people making videos. Because videos back in those days wasn't like now where you can buy, a $2,000 camera and a couple of SD cards and do videos. Back then, to do a music video was a lot of money, and once they started seeing that, wait a second, these young guys are spending serious money doing videos, they had to know that it was a real situation. It was a real situation. So yeah, now I don't remember anybody ever saying, "Yo, you're not going to make any money, or you're not going to be able to do anything with that stuff." Nah, they knew very quickly. Young people love this genre, So nah, we never had those issues.
So even when having no issues, is there a time? Do you ever sit there and say, "Have you noticed anything?" Can you say like, there's a difference in hip hop now compared when you first arrived on the scene? Have you noticed the changes of hip hop, but what's going on with today's music compared to when you first started?
Well, hip hop follows the streets at the time. It follows people, So whatever's going on in your community, or that's what's going to be shown in hip hop. So during my time, there was a lot of knowledge of self during my time, because so when you listen to Rakim, you listen to Big Daddy Kane, you listen to X-Clan, you hear Queen Latifah, native tongue movement, a lot of knowledge of self, you've seen it back then, where we were proud of us and those movements. It was like a musical civil rights movement during my time. So it was different. When NWA came out, you could tell they were showing what was going on in LA. They weren't making up stories. That was what was going on in their community. Police brutality and, all of that stuff. So when you heard MC Ren, who was one of my favorites as far as lyricists, and Ice Cube, They're talking about what's going on if you're trying to walk to the corner store and get stopped and you might not make it back home. You know, so hip hop showed what was going on in your community. So when you fast forward a bunch of decades and you see young people talking now, they're showing what's going on with them. You know, whether it's, again, unfortunately, drug culture. It has more of an energy. It's a different kind of energy. It's a different kind of energy because there's a different kind of energy on the streets. You know, very different kind of energy on the streets. So their culture of it mimics what they see every day. You know, it just mimics that. That's why DJ Quick and a lot of guys in LA, when they were talking about what was going on in the streets in their community, that's what made them so big in areas where you live, Kansas City, because Kansas City was going through the same thing. That's what makes Too Short like a god there. You know, in Kansas City, the Midwest, Oklahoma, Nebraska, you know, a lot of areas where a lot of New York artists never really got to go see during the 90s, you know, because they couldn't probably relate to what's going on in the streets there to what's going on in the streets in New York area. I had the blessing of being able to go to those places because Treat 'em Right kind of literally was able to gravitate to those areas, even though the style of music of Treat 'em Right really wasn't the style of music that was big in those areas. But they were like, yo, no, but I love that song. I love that. I love, you know, I love what Chubb is doing. But it was different than what was big in Kansas City, you know, what was big in Chicago. You know, like you go to Chicago, it ain't Treat 'em Right that's the big record there for me. It's a record called I'm Too Much. You know, your Bad Chubbs. There's different records for different areas in the country.
Yeah, we are a fan of E40 here, especially being in the Midwest. So right there.
E40 is like a god out there, you know, and he's a legend, and people don't realize like he's a legend. He's a legendary, iconic rapper, man. And because of the stuff that he did and how he controlled those areas, Kansas City, and even when you go down south, Memphis, and those areas, and Mississippi, and you know him and Too Short and them guys, you know, just legendary artists and musicians, man. So you know, it's a big world out there, and and people have different tastes, you know. And you know, me being a hip hop artist, I love all the tastes, you know, from E40 and Too Short to Dougie Fresh to Luke Skywalker to DJ Cool, you know, to DJ Quick to Cypress Hill to House of Pain. You know, you love all of that stuff, you know, and you know, and that's what I loved about hip hop back then because everybody had a different style. You know, Das Effects didn't sound like EPMD. EPMD didn't sound like Heavy D. Heavy D didn't sound like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody had a different style, so you could always get whatever you were in the mood for at that point. You can get it.
Right. So what do you think about female artists making a sexual explicit music compared to what a male artist can make?
Well, I don't think that's anything new. We had, you know, there's Millie Jackson. Millie Jackson was like the queen of, you know, that kind of style. She created that style. You know, was Millie Jackson, and then of course Little Kim, who, you know, took it to a different level and definitely on the hip hop side. And then of course after that you had HWA, you had all these other beautiful ladies that, you know, had somewhat of that style. And then you had other beautiful ladies that did a different style. MC Light was different. Queen Latifah was different. Mooney Love was different. Roxanne Shante was different. Roxanne Sparky D was different. So, you know, I love it all, man, because again, it's different flavors. And now women MCs and women artists in hip hop, they have taken over, you know, period. they have taken over, and I love it. I love it. It's their turn. You know, like I said, we had incredible female artists, but right now the movement of it is incredible. You know, Cardi B, Doja Cat, Erica Banks, and you know, of course, Nicki Minaj, who's overly incredible, and Megan Thee Stallion. One of my sisters, the Brat.
Sweetie.
Yeah, sweet. All of it, man. All of it. I mean, they just all have. They control it right now, and I think that's incredible. You know, I think it's incredible. They're coming out consistently. You know, and they're doing it. They're doing it.
So, do you feel the internet has impacted the music business?
The internet is a gift and a curse. Um, because using the internet, you can get to more people. You can kind of showcase things. You can promote things. But the internet also kind of destroyed black music because on a business level, and it always went to black music, this destruction. It didn't go on the other side. Because if Madonna makes a record right now, people are going to go buy the record. You know, they're going to buy the record. For black artists, unfortunately, because the internet showed that you can grab a record for free, that destroyed black music, you know. So I was at I go to Walmart and I buy iTunes cards to buy songs. And young girls are always looking at me when I go there and they're like, I always see you buying iTunes cards to buy records. Do you know you can get that record for free? And I'm like, wait a second, you got to buy records. You know, we're in a business of selling records. You know, that's what keeps artists making music. So, you know, it always, man, it just affects the music business. And, you know, the people that it affects for real are black musicians and black artists. So, you know, the internet, again, a gift and a curse. And then it showed young artists, because I would see young artists talk about, yeah, I'm going to post my new song on the internet and these various platforms. And I would say to them, are you selling the record? No, I'm just putting it out there so, you know, I can build my followers and this. And I'm like, wait, you're supposed to sell your record. You know, if you let people think that your record isn't worth anything because you're giving it away, you will never be able to sell your music. You know, you can't tell people, hey, man, here's some free peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day, and then one day wake up and say, oh, by the way, it's $5 today. You're not going to be able to sell that sandwich. You know, so that's the problem with that. You know, it's funny when you just put up the beef video, and I was seeing Cool Herc at the table, Kango was at the table, Grandmaster Caz is at the table. I'm really thinking like, wow, we were able to get those icons at that table. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, you know, I just think that the internet it's great. It's great. It can do a lot of things, but you know, the basis of it was to hurt black music. You know, Napster and these other places where all of a sudden you're getting music for free. And that didn't happen. I'm telling you, put out a Bob Dylan record right now, people got to buy that record. You know, they got to buy that record. You know, they got algorithms out there that make it hard for you to just go download his record for free. You know, turn around, the feds will be knocking on your door and all that kind of stuff. So it's just crazy to me that you know, but it affected black music, and I don't think people totally get that side of it.
I remember when I was in college, you had Limewire, and then I ain't gonna say anything, but I'm just saying I had some music. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, I'm just saying I had some music, and someone put it on my computer, and I was in college. Hey, I wanted
Yeah,
certain songs, and it went right
because
through.
yeah, because when you're young, especially if you're a college student, you don't got no money. So of course, when they say, well, hey, you can get songs, of course you're going to be like, oh, because those are my favorite songs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And most likely, because that's what they do. They always go after young people, right? Because they know young people will always make the trend. They will always set the trend. So, it's easier to go to young people to try to push that stuff. And it isn't their fault. It's the company's fault. If you wanted to make it cheaper for young people, because they might not have that kind of money, then you can make it cheaper for them, but it's just one of those things. Like, I swear to you, you would never be able to go and buy a New Kids on the Block record. Well, go and download that for free. And of course you can do it, but that culture doesn't subscribe to getting it for free, because they don't push that narrative to that culture. They push it to our culture. And but I'm optimistic that we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that, where you can go and feel proud to buy a record, and all the artists and all the musicians that were part of that record, and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that it'll go back to that.
Yes, yes. I know, like now, just the other day I was buying music through iTunes. You could just easily, it's not like back in the day where I could have just went to Walmart. You had to buy a whole entire CD. 13 songs probably cost you $20, when I can just now get on iTunes and go buy a song for 99 cents, $1.29, and the one song that I need, boom, it's already downloaded right into my phone, and I'm done. Just
Right,
keep going.
right.
So,
Your man created that maneuver. What was his name? Steve Jobs. He came up with that maneuver, and it is what it is. Technology doesn't go backwards, so we're only going to the future. So we see what happens.
yes. And so, with that being said, what would you tell your younger self now regarding the music industry?
Back when we were making records, I don't think that we realized that we didn't need labels.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really do much, and we could have all done it on our own. We could have just got together and say, okay, we're hip hop. We're going to create some imprints and things of that nature and just put out music. We didn't realize that, we were so mesmerized by the offices, right? You go to the office of a record company and you're like, wow, this is incredible. But it's a beautiful office, but they ain't doing much in there that you couldn't do on your own. And now for young people, young artists, they're doing it all. It's young artists that's doing it all. They're the ones with the followers. They're the ones creating the marketing and the promotion on their own through social media, and it isn't like they need distribution like back in the day where you needed trucks and you got to pick up records and take them to one stops and have the one stops, do various promotion at the one stops, and then, going and doing in-store interviews at record stores. None of that exists anymore. Everything is electronic. You could have your own record company in your bedroom with a laptop. So, but still, young people believe they need labels. Everything to them is, I'm trying to get my music together so I can get signed by a label. And you don't need any of it. If I was able to tell myself that, I'd have been like, listen, because my mother funded my record. It would have been better just to say, hey, Mom, I'm going to find out how I sell this record on my own, and do like what Too Short and them guys did back in the day, and Luke Skywalker, press records and sell them out the trunk of your car, But at some point when that became somewhat tedious, then you went to the record company. But the reality is we didn't need no record company, And, it's unfortunate because Bill Cosby said this back in the day, because he was trying to do that. Why don't we just have our own distribution companies and sell our records? I heard him say it like in the late 80s,
Mm-hmm.
People, kind of went on deaf ears. So.
So how has the pandemic affected you musically?
Well, no real effect because if I need to do any music, I did some stuff with Jeff Bradshaw, I did some stuff with Eric Robeson. Um, I'm doing some stuff with Albie Shore. Um, we didn't really need we don't really the pandemic hasn't affected that because you got your studio, you're in the house. In fact, I think for most musicians it probably helped them because they're in the house. They're in the house.
True. So true.
A little bit.
So
Yeah, so most musicians are in the house, so I don't think it hurt them. I don't think it hurt them. They're in a house where they can be creative. Now, the music might be affected or influenced by the pandemic because there's a lot of sorrow out here. A lot of sorrow and a lot of uncertainty. But nah, I think that it had somewhat of a positive effect because now you mingle with some of your music peers and usually it comes up, yo man, let's do a song. Because you're home. You're not performing. You know, you're not doing other things with your family. You're at home.
so what can you say has been your greatest achievement?
I mean, musical.
Yes.
Musically, you mean, right?
Hmm.
Musically, it would definitely be the culmination of the Treat 'Em Right album. Was because I mean, for most artists, you have different times. Soul Train was one of the big accomplishments. Um, Arsenio Hall, one of the big accomplishments. Working with Spike Lee, one of the biggest accomplishments. The Apollo and all that. But a lot of it stemmed from that Treat 'Em Right album. The Treat 'Em Right album really opened the door for us to do a lot of what we did. So that was the biggest accomplishment. And I thank God, every day for it. Because a lot of artists can come up and do certain hits and get hits, and that's great. But it's very rare that you have this kind of legendary record, you know, like a record that will always transcend the times, probably way after you're gone. And Treat 'Em Right, I believe, is that record.
So 30 years in the business, what has been the best advice you ever been given?
30 plus years. You know, one of my mentors is a cool DJ, Red Alert, and he always said, "Yo, Chubb, never be part of the show. Just sit back and watch the show. Never be involved with any of the shenanigans out there." You know, um, and then Luther Vandross, when I met him, and he was like, "Chubb, whenever in doubt, do it yourself." That's what he said to me. Whenever in doubt, do it yourself, man. And I think he just was like, hey, when you're a music artist, um, there's going to be people like record companies proposing that they can do all kinds of stuff for you. There's going to be managers that come and they say, oh, I could do all of this for you. There might be accountants and agents that say, oh, I could do all of this for you. And whenever in doubt, just do it yourself. Do it yourself. And I always remember when he told me that, man. The boy Luther Vandross, rest in peace.
I like that. I like that quote. I'm gonna use that quote. Do it yourself. I like that. What is the next chapter for Chubb Rock?
Well, my second chapter was radio, and
Mhm.
something I really love doing radio. I got into it by accident. Lisa G, an incredible woman who did the morning show with Ed Lover and Dr. Dre. You know, she got me involved in radio. I have no idea why she thought about me or any of that stuff. Just kindness, and just fell in love with radio and being able to talk to your people, get advice from your people. They can get advice from you. It's just I'm a big fan of radio, so I love it. I always wish, man, how come I didn't find this 20 years earlier, you know? But I love that chapter, and then there's some other things I want to do, and not want to do, I'm going to do, and you know, right now is a great time to be creative because there's so many tools in which to be creative, you know, because of technology. You know, you can turn around and make a whole movie with your phone, and long as the story is right, you know, because nobody cares about aesthetics no more. You know, one of my favorite things is watching movies on Prime, Amazon Prime, and it's filled with all these independent black movies. People, friends that got together and chipped in a couple of dollars to do their movie. You know, a bunch of guys out of Detroit, you know, Murder Payne and them boys over there that came together as a crew to do movies. And I think it's incredible. We don't look at the aesthetics. You know, you don't have to look at the aesthetics of a movie. Oh, did they have CGA or CGI or whatever you call it? And all these millions of dollars to make movies. Nah, the story was dope. And they got together and did their movie. And it should always be about the story, not about the aesthetics. So this is a great time to be creative. So there's going to be a lot for that third chapter. That third chapter is going to be nice.
Yes, yes. Now, Chubb, you know I'm bringing in my next later on kid. Kango Kid will be in. So
Right.
can you please say something about him, how much he influenced you and everything? Let the people know.
So Kango Kid created a group called the Untouchable Force Organization. And everybody knows him as UTFO. Him and Doc Ice, one of my mentors, they were dancers and big time dancers too during the beginning time of pop locking and break dancing and things of that nature. So they were iconic. I mean, even at 16, they were on TV shows demonstrating this talent. And then, of course, you know, they went on to dance for Houdini, and then they went on to make their own records. And then they made Roxanne Roxanne that changed hip hop. There's only a few records that changed hip hop. And that was a record that changed hip hop because the record was played every other song on the radio in every state. It was the first time I ever heard of a rap group opening for an R&B group, and they were out there with New Edition. First time I ever heard anybody answer a record when Roxanne Shante answered their record, and then Sparky D answered their record, and the real Roxanne answered the record, and then it had to be over 100 answers to one record, even to Roxanne's a Man and all kinds of crazy records. And so that has never happened, and it's never happened again. So they mean a lot to hip hop. And then for us on the Caribbean side, Caribbean American side, it was big because one of their members, you know, Kango, was a Haitian American. And that was the first time you even heard of that. So they did a lot of firsts. And, you know, I think they might have been the first rap group to do the Apollo, you know, to do Showtime at the Apollo, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of firsts when it comes to that group. And Kango was involved with one of my first demo records. When he did a demo for Little Sean and Terry T, it was called How to Rock a Party. and then Little Sean and Terry T put me in that group, and we almost got signed to Capitol Records, Hush Productions, and so he was very instrumental. And then him and Howie, my cousin, they started a production company, and which brought together a group called Whistle, which were very close friends of mine. And I mean, it's a lot of legacy with that group and a lot of legacy with him as a songwriter. And it just, from our neighborhood, I'm proud of what he's done. And, he's iconic for us. For us, he's iconic. For me, he's iconic. And it's going to be great to watch the interview that you do with him so everybody can know, his accomplishments and the accomplishments of that group, UTFO. Because when it comes to hip hop, there's only a few. There's Run DMC, there's Houdini, there's Salt and Pepper, there's UTFO, there's Fat Boys, Curtis Blow, Melly Mel, Kumo D and Treacherous 3, Dougie Fresh. There's a small fraternity, Us Girls, Sha Rock in them, Funky 4 plus 1 more, Crash Crew, Spoonie G. There's a small community of talented black people, men and women, that really paved the road for others to walk on. So it's not many. And he's one of them. UTFO is one of them. So I'm going to be watching. And I appreciate you, interviewing me, and big shout to you doing your Turnup Tuesdays, and big shout to my man, Tall Boy, who's a good friend of mine for a long time. And I'm good. I'm about to go inside and finish watching this documentary on Tekashi 6ix9ine on Showtime. And I wanted to see exactly what that whole situation is. So I appreciate you.
No, you're so welcome. Before we go, where can your fans find you at these days? I know you said you talked about radio. Where can the viewers find you?
On social media, it's Chubb Live, CHUBBLIVE, on everything. And then if you go to Vibes Radio, the app on Android or iOS, Vibes Radio, VYBEZ Radio, you can download that app or go to thevibesradio.com if you wanted to, go to the website, and you can hear the show that we do on different stations, Digging in the Crates, the morning show, and all the other shows that I have out right now. And yeah, we're just, during the pandemic, a lot of sadness out there, rough times out there, but we out there trying to keep it going. And with God's help, we'll be able to do this again next year in a better space.
Yes, most definitely. I'm going to come see you in concert too. Just so I can hear Treat 'Em Right, and I can get my dance on. Okay, let me stop. Get my
That's
dance
your
on.
usual move. This is your move. This is your move. I don't know.
No, I'm a move. I can dance way better than I'm just sitting down. I can't, overdo it. I don't want to like everybody going. I can actually dance my butt off, but I'm just sitting down, so I can't do too much, But no. I just want to thank you, Chubb Rock, for coming on and me being a huge fan of yours, and thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to interview you. But I loved how I got you and Kango Kid on Sunday in Egypt Young. We're all in here, and I was just sitting back listening to you guys talk, and you guys like, well, this person, I went to school with this person. I'm just sitting here listening to the history lesson. I'm just like, you guys just keep catch up. It's like a big family reunion. I love that, and I want to thank you so much.
Yeah, because we're all from a small area in Brooklyn, Flatbush. So if you're in that area, you kind of know everybody. Special Ed and the Fushnikins and Bush Babies, and we're all in this one little area. UTFO and
Right.
Full Force, myself. So yeah, it was good to see him, and I'm gonna be watching while you're doing your interview with him. So I appreciate you.
No problem. No problem. Okay? I can't wait. Now, Chubb, whatever you do, don't go anywhere, but just stay around. But I gotta end this show. Ladies, everyone listen. I want to thank you all for watching Chubb Rock. Hey, treat them right. But guess what? For the first time, I'm doing another interview with the one, the only Kid Kango Kid. It will start tonight at 9:30 p.m. I'm sorry it has to be that late, but Top Boy, he gotta get all the stuff figured out. So we'll be back at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's already after 8 o'clock my time. So that's another hour and a half. So just go charge up you guys' phones, go eat, and come back for another interview with the one and only from UTFO, Kango Kid. He's gonna be here to talk about his career and everything in his new show, Fairy Tale Lover. I cannot wait. I know some of you guys been asking about what is the show. He'll be here to explain everything. So I want to thank Chubb Rock for being here. I also want to thank Tall Boy. I'm glad we got everything together. Sorry we had technical difficulties in the beginning, but thank you to the Howard Girls, Renee Jemison. All of you guys sitting there letting us know you guys couldn't hear, but bear with us. I'm glad we got it all together. But thank you all for tuning in tonight. I'll see you guys back here at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, another hour and a half. So thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys later and take care. Bye bye.